Did you not have the option?
No. That's so
Was
weird.
it auto transcribing? I don't like that. I don't want it to do that. I don't want to see it. Okay.
So why would you have the option? I can see it being recorded.
Yeah, I just went to the more arrows, record and transcribe, and it just wasn't great how it was last time.
Huh.
I did do the update to the new Teams interface.
Oh, you know
So
what?
that's another variable. Yeah, I did. I'm on that.
Yeah, you know what? That must be it. Because I'm just like in the browser. Okay. Well,
Oh yeah,
it
I'm like
doesn't
on my work
matter.
laptop,
Oh, okay.
doing it through
So
work Teams.
it's all good because there's like a chat that automatically got started called Return of Two Slutty Men. And then once we conclude the meeting, it'll automatically have like a link to the recording. So I can just go in there and then
Oh,
do
nice.
whatever with it. So as long as one person can record it, then we're fine.
What beer are you drinking?
Prince of Pilsner.
That's awesome. I'm drinking Cafe Verona from. No, it's Pike Place. I lied. It's Pike Place.
Thomas, can I just say, with the contacts, extremely handsome. Extremely handsome. I'll also have you lost weight? I mean, you look great.
I have lost a little bit of weight, but I also got a haircut and trim my beard, so all that contributes to it. But yeah, I've lost a little bit of weight. I was on the last belt loop, and I'm 5 belt loops in.
Really?
Yeah, it's a big belt though. So
no, I can tell. I can tell. Yeah.
And this is my new Deer Hunter shirt, and it's really big, so it fits better. It's not like a size ago or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, friend. Yeah, I've been wanting to try to do something active every day, or at least 5 days a week, and I've been doing 3 or 4, but consistently doing more than I was doing. I try to we walk every weekend now. I try to walk after work most days.
Yeah. No, I can see it. I noticed.
Yay. This is good. Yeah. It's funny. I saw my mom's birthday was last Thursday, I think, the 17th, whatever date that was. So that or last Friday, and so last Saturday we went out and saw my family, and it's funny because they saw me last Christmas, this past Christmas, and I was working for Novatech and my hair was cut, but all of them were like, "Oh my gosh, your long hair's gone." And I'm like, "Yeah," because I didn't want to be like, I've seen you guys since then, right?
Huh.
Yeah, my uncle was like, and I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Your hair," and I was like, "Oh yeah, it was long." He's like, "I know," and I'm like, dude, but it's fine. I'm glad they noticed, but it's just struck me as funny. I was like, "You've seen me since then, but that's fine, I guess."
I didn't think I would say this, but I think you look better with short hair. It looks kind of short on the sides, but kind
there's
of
long hairstyles that looked good, but thanks. Yeah, I like how I look with short hair.
Yeah. No, that suits you. Also, was your beard was longer before, right?
Oh yeah. It was so funny.
Sculpted.
When I got my haircut, I got to chatting with my hairstylist because she had a Russian accent, and I was like, I know that accent, it's Russian Ukrainian. I was like, where are you from? And she was like, Turkmenistan, but I speak Russian. And I was like, haha. And then so I got to talk to her about making pelmeni, the dumplings, and she was like, you make pelmeni? We were trading recipes and stuff. So cool. She's like,
I
next time
love
you
that
cook, you come
story.
back and get a haircut. You tell me what you make. And I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool. Small world.
Is this like the first time you've ever had contacts?
No, I had contacts from like middle of high school up until a few years ago. But first time that you've seen me with contacts.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I had contacts till about 4 years ago and just didn't get the prescription replaced, just got glasses. So,
Mm. Okay. Cause you kind of like went from jolly drama teacher to like now I feel like this new Thomas, like he might try to sell me drugs and I would probably buy them.
oh, yeah, you probably would. I'm pretty convincing.
I'd be like, okay.
He looks together.
Yeah. Like
That's why I was
you
able to
look
get away
like
with so
you're
much when I was a kid because I could do shit like this and
yeah.
like be crazy and on drugs and for the most part like look all right. Like
Yeah, yeah. No, I could see it. I could see it. You're like polished, but you still are rough around the edges. So it gives that like impression that you'd be like a friendly drug dealer.
yeah, like a live wood coffee table, where it's not
Mm-hmm.
it's like the barky edge. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. How are you liking the blade itself? How far are you?
I haven't read very much since the last time we talked. So I
Mm.
just met the king and the Northmen, challenged them to a one-on-one duel and tentatively agreed to a duel with a talented swordsman there who like spoke up like a fool. I'm really enjoying it though. Like
Yeah.
definitely up my alley. Like the characters. I like how gritty they are. Like how shitty the
Yeah.
world is. Like ticks a lot of
Yeah.
boxes for me. You know,
Right.
it doesn't have to be that way for me to enjoy a story, but I like when a medieval setting is medieval as fuck because it's how it would be. Like,
Yeah.
there's something about that like really rings true to me. That like corruption is so bad. Like, so I'm really enjoying it. Also, Glockta, I love Glockta. I want one for myself.
So good. Yeah, I love that character.
Yeah, every time I see him like click tap pain like in like onto the set in my mind, I'm like, there he
Mhm.
is. He's in so much pain. He hates walking. Stairs suck. He's seen all this shit and got the t-shirt. Like,
He's seen everything.
it's so funny to remember that he's only like in his like mid 30s, like maybe even 40s.
That's
But
crazy.
like he's so wizened because of just being a prisoner of war for so long in a terrible world. Like,
Yeah. In my mind, I don't know why, but like I've read the trilogy and then I've read like the side books and for some reason like I thought he was like 55. I don't know why.
no, I think he's like 40. Because he was an extremely talented swordsman that worked that was in the field alongside the gentleman who's training the current like really talented like young buck swordsman.
Hmm.
And he's not the master who is like the guy who's like probably in his 60s. He's like a step down from him. He's like a captain or something. um
Oh,
or
okay.
maybe a major, I can't remember, but he's like 40 years old. It might even say specifically, let's just look
Yeah.
up how old Glockta is. That's how I'm going
Now
to
I'm
type it in.
curious.
How old Glockta is.
Yeah, I could have for some reason in my mind he's like
35. Yeah, it says specifically at the start of the blade itself that he's 35.
oh. I guess like somewhere along the line I forgot like he lost all his teeth and he has like arthritis because he was tortured.
Yeah, he was tortured for a while too. I think seven
Yeah,
years feels right, is what they
something
said.
crazy like that. Hmm.
Oops.
Yeah, Glocta is my second favorite out of the trilogy. But you're gonna run across, if you haven't already, you're gonna run across this.
Is it a woman?
No,
Okay.
It's like this insane berserker type character. That's how I would frame
Is
it.
it one of the Northmen?
I believe so, yeah. It's just
Okay,
like
I
this
think I just
crazy.
saw him like enter
Okay.
the king's chamber. If that's who you're talking about. Yeah. The one who like challenged him, like the big guy.
Yeah, he's pretty big, and I think I read somewhere that all the characters are based off of like D&D classes or something, and he's
Like
basically supposed to
tropes.
be like the barbarian. Um
Cool.
there's also there's also a bald wizard. Did you meet him
Yeah, I
yet?
just met him. Yeah, I'm excited to
Okay.
like learn more about him and learn more about magic in this world.
Yeah. There's a bald wizard, there's a barbarian. Galacta doesn't really fit into any of the classes, but I I read somewhere the author was basically trying to do like all your classic fantasy tropes, but like with his own like weird spin on them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely
Nice.
see that.
um, I read like I had some time off and I read Mr. Mercedes in like 3 days. Then I read the next one in the trilogy, Finders Keepers, in like 3 days. And now I'm almost done End of Watch. Um, because I realized if I died before reading all the Stephen King books, I would be really sad. So then I was like,
Be like mad at yourself.
I really would be. I really would be. Do you have like a reading goal like that?
I had in the past, but I made it. Um, um, I definitely want to read all of Stephen King's stuff. I also want to read all of Brandon Sanderson. There's a few. There's a number I haven't read. Um,
Yeah.
I think those are the main ones. Other authors, like I'll read their like whole series, but like I'm not gonna go like digging for their other stuff. Jim Butcher has Codex
Yeah.
Alera, which I hear is great, but you know, it's not something that's high up on my to read list. I really want to read some
Yeah.
Ursula Le Guin. Every time I hear her
Oh.
mentioned,
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, she's the best. Like she's such a staple of
Hmm.
fantasy. Like she crafted a thing before anyone else made it. Like,
Hmm.
uh, and every time I read somebody speaking about her, it's always that. So I'm like, I gotta read it. Like everybody says it's amazing. Like I want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of the authors that I really enjoy also like cite her as inspiration.
Hmm. Oh,
It
you like
crapped
froze
out
for
for
a
a second.
second? You yeah, like on my screen, you froze for a second, and you were like this. You were like, I don't know, like you were having like some sort of like religious experience. Like you were like, and I was like, oh, well, yeah,
Ursula.
it was like that. Yeah, it was like
You're like, did he break or did the internet break?
that. um, that's awesome. I'm with you because I feel like I have to read everything Stephen King makes, and then also Sanderson, but beyond that, I don't feel super driven to like read anybody else's like complete bibliography.
Yeah, same. Those two. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else. I don't know. There's a Italian author he did Italo Calvino, and I've
Hmm.
read three of his books. Greg and I like read them together when we were working at Starbucks.
Oh, nice.
And they were amazing, and they're each super unique and not like the other like things that he writes. Like, uh,
Really?
so I wouldn't mind reading all the stuff that he's written. That's translated.
Yeah.
One of the stories is called Baron in the Trees, and it follows a young man in like I think like French Renaissance era, like just living his life, and he like vows never to come down from the trees and lives in trees, and like just a cute little story about him. It's delightful. Um,
Really?
Another one is called Invisible Cities, and it's Marco Polo uh, talking about all these fantastic wild places that he's visited.
Yeah.
I think he's speaking to Genghis Khan, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Uh, but all of the cities he's describing are Venice. Um,
Hmm.
just like really weird, like interesting little stories like that. One's called If on a Winter's Night a Traveler, and that's the first one I read. It's amazing. Uh, each chapter follows a reader who's reading a
Hmm.
book, and then the next chapter after that, or no, yeah, the next chapter after that is the chapter that he reads.
Hmm.
And something always goes wrong where he can't continue the book. So he'll finish the chapter of the book he's reading, and whatever goes wrong happens. And then you follow a chapter of him trying to find the book. And then he finds the book again and gets the next chapter, and you read the next chapter. And it's a wild ride. I've never read anything like it before. It's just bonkers what happens. You never know like
It is
what's actually
crazy.
real,
Yeah.
and it's like set in a kind of ambiguous Europe. I think before World War II. I could be wrong about that. But there's
Hmm.
like this like feeling of tension all throughout the books, and there's a lot of like weird cities under the like thumb of the government throughout like the reader, the protagonist like adventure. And it's just like I said, like not like anything else I've ever read ever. It's such a treat. And it's only like 200 and change pages. It's real small.
Oh wow. And the author is, you said, Calvino?
Yeah, Italo Calvino. Um, I wonder how many
Never
books
heard
he's
of
read.
him.
Let's go on a little.
I don't even remember hearing about him like on Reddit or anything like that.
Got to scroll down so I can get to the real information. Wikipedia. Maybe I'll give you $3 later.
Maybe. Maybe.
Ooh, he's published a lot of stuff.
Really?
Yeah,
Both good and bad.
yo no sé.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to read all of his stuff, but I want to read a bunch of it.
Hmm.
The non-existent night. That sounds fun. Plunge into real estate. Wonder if that's nope. It says fiction, so that's probably fun. The Cloven Viscount.
Whoa.
The Path to the Nest of
Just the titles
Spiders.
alone.
That's his first book. Or The Path to the Spider's Nests. Spiders'
What?
nests? I gotta, I'm copy pasting this. You gotta,
Huh.
super why translated things are difficult. Try to read it.
Um, I gotta at least check out that one that you said was like really short, like at 200 pages.
um, if on a winter's night a traveler, I have a copy of it. You're more than welcome to borrow it.
Oh, thank you. Hmm. Who's that one author that's like a communist?
Karl Marx.
He does fantasy. It's like a fantasy author that's also like a hardcore communist.
Communist fantasy author.
Sorry, that
Google, I thought you'd at least give me something spicy. This is really disappointing.
oh dang it. Oh man.
Is he American?
He is, yeah. He's like this bald communist writer. Dang it. I was gonna ask if you've like ever read his work, but if that doesn't ring any bells, you probably haven't read his work then.
Maybe I could try bald communist fantasy author.
I remember I remember my cousin telling me about him, and um I was like, "Oh yeah, I heard he's a communist," and my cousin's like, "Oh yeah, like when you read his work, like that definitely comes through like big time." Hmm.
Hal Duncan, Alan Moore,
Mhm.
Stephen Brust.
Darn it. He had a very very interesting writing style. Like I read like 10, 15 pages, and he would just use these words that like you've never seen before.
Hmm.
Um but it didn't seem pretentious. Um yeah, I remember just reading these like ridiculous words that like you've never come across and you never would, but it didn't seem yeah, it didn't seem like he was just using it to be pretentious. It was almost like when he used those words that you weren't familiar with, it kind of like added to the fantasy setting
Hmm.
more, if that makes sense kind of.
Yeah, I follow that. Part of reading a fantasy is like learning that book's lingo.
Mhm. Yeah.
I read a Reddit thread recently on like the fantasy subreddit. Uh,
Yeah.
somebody asking like, "What's your cutoff point for like fantasy like lingo? Like, do you like a lot of
Mhm.
it, or do you get to like 5 words in the first like 2 pages and you're like, nope, that's going to be too much for me. Don't want that." Like, it was interesting to see so many people from like different uh,
Like
perspectives
viewpoint.
on that. Like some people are all about it. Some people say like if it's presented well, it's fine. Um,
Hmm.
I thought that was interesting. I can't think of like an example of fantasy with too many words that are bad because like that doesn't bother me. I like learning magic systems. I like learning unique words for a world. But I could
Yeah.
definitely see it like being done wrong, but nothing jumps to mind. They didn't really cite anything either.
Hmm. I remember when I was like maybe 14, Dune was always cited as like one of the most influential science fiction books. So at like 14, I picked up Dune, and you're immediately assaulted by all these new terms and stuff that you have no idea what it is.
Yeah,
And like 14-year-old Jeremy definitely just bounced right off Dune, and I was like, nope, I don't have time for this.
I can understand
But
that. When I
yeah.
watched it, I had seen the movies, so like a lot of the words that were new, like I was familiar with already.
Mm,
So that, yeah, going in it blind is definitely a lot more work.
hmm. I think I think as like an adult, I was able to get through Dune just because I had read like some of the Wikipedia, so I was kind of like prepared for what was going to happen and all the different classes of people. But I think without some sort of primer of sorts, it is, I would say that's pretty overwhelming, right? maybe.
Yeah, it's asking a lot. Uh, but I wouldn't say any more than other other series
Mm,
of like similar like epic scale and dedication to a world. Um,
yeah.
like I mean, Tolkien's got to have more like individual
Oh, that's
terms.
true.
Like
That's true.
I fucking love the Bene Gesserit in Dune. Like
Yeah.
when I read that, like I had to stop and I was like, really? That's what the fuck they are and what they did? Like that's so cool. That's so awesome. Like just the best. Like
Such a creative
organization.
idea.
Yeah, like but also that's pretty like that's really radical. Like, you know what I mean? That's not a easy to swallow concept for a lot of people that all of the
Yeah.
religions of many of the worlds like are just their machinations like for them to control cultures and populations. Like
Yeah.
that's it's pretty dicey.
Yeah. You would think there would be more readers that would have issues with that, right?
Yeah, I guess because it is space, it's like it wasn't as zoomed in upon. Or and when did he publish? The 70s, the
I
80s,
thought it was the I thought it was the 60s.
60s? Really? Hmm.
Hmm.
It also could be that like the traction it got was so different at the time. It wasn't something that was like focused on. We had hippies and homos doing shit. So the world's only got so much bandwidth for anger.
When was Dune? Yeah, 1965. So that would have been
Was Dune controversial?
yeah, like right during the hippie era, right? So maybe that kind of like maybe it wasn't controversial at the time because yeah, like you said, there was so much social upheaval with hippies and homosexuals. So maybe maybe conservatives looked at it and they're just like, ah, whatever.
Well, I typed in is Dune the book controversial, and there's a entry that says the biggest Dune controversy was rooted in how the book is a complex epic about the dangers of messianic prophecies, but that could still
Oh,
like it doesn't source like that's like an article from when the movie was written. I don't see anything that's
yeah,
sourcing.
yeah,
Maybe it was and it just didn't like blow up. It's not one that stuck.
yeah.
See what Wikipedia says since it has all the information of the world.
That's one thing that I always liked about our book club is it seemed like all of us didn't just we weren't just satisfied with reading the books, but we wanted to know like the history behind the books and like the history of the authors. And I don't it's rare to find people that want to like really dive into stuff like that, and collect all that trivia.
Yeah, and I think it's like polar too. Like there's people who like read too much into things and like devote themselves too specifically to something. They're like super passionate about like a single thing and
Hmm.
leave others to the wayside. And that's also like I think not that that's wrong, but I'd rather just get a fuller scope of what I'm enjoying as opposed to like just eat the entertainment and move on. Um,
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some controversial stuff. People thought it was controversial, but it didn't blow up and become a big thing.
Hmm. Interesting.
The most controversial things about it were the movies and their reception.
Oh, that makes sense. Like the first set of movies.
Mhm.
That makes perfect sense to me. I remember I remember going back like maybe 3 weeks, and I started to look into the artist who did all the art for Chronicles of Narnia, and because once they started having her do the art, um, C.S. Lewis pretty much just like looked at her art and he was like, "Oh, yep, this is it. You're gonna do all the art. I don't care. We're not bringing anybody else in." Um, which is unusual since I mean it was 7 books. But then it got even crazier because you dig into it further and then you find out that she was friends with Tolkien as well, and she actually did art for some of his stuff,
Hmm.
and he even wanted to hire her and have her do all the art for his Lord of the Rings books as well. But then it was shot down by the publisher. The publisher was like, "These are too whimsical."
Childish. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
She
Um,
did do a map though,
yep.
and she did
She,
apparently Bilbo's last song, The
yep,
Adventures of Tom Bombadil.
yep, yep. She ended up doing, I mean, a decent amount of work for him.
Tolkien got what he wanted in the end,
Yeah, yeah.
to a degree.
But just just that idea that Tolkien and Lewis were friends, and then they also both knew this artist. That just I don't know. That just like blows my mind.
Yeah,
You know?
there's something so like, I don't know. They're both so English boarding school
Hmm.
era in life that it has this, I don't know, historic charming quality. Just knowing, like when you read their books, just knowing who wrote it, like there's this certain sense that I
Yeah,
get.
yeah. Um, I think what also was crazy is, if I remember correctly, like H.P. Lovecraft was kind of friends with the guy who invented Conan, I believe.
Oh yeah.
I think so. Which also just like that's hard for me to comprehend.
Hmm. That's fun. I've read a couple of the Conan books. I actually have some on a shelf behind me.
Oh, really?
Not many. I've only read a few of the stories in it.
They're pretty good. Um
They're no Dollar men from Hyamdall, but my goodness. Sorry, I just realized I wonder if there's a man from Hyamdall shirt so I can get it for Justin.
You definitely should. Justin
Yeah.
deserves it. Oh, okay. This is weird. So the guy who made Conan would incorporate elements of the Cthulhu mythos. So apparently there was a lot of crossover between the two, Conan and Lovecraft.
Really?
Yeah. There's even a book. There was a book published in 2001, Nameless Cults: The Cthulhu Mythos Fiction of Robert E. Howard, the
Huh.
creator of Conan.
That's nuts. I had no idea.
The Cthulhu Stories of Robert E. Howard, horror stories from Robert E. Howard. Yeah, so it seems like not only were they friends, but they were influencing each other.
That's wild. I had no idea. I guess a lot of the Conan, like low fantasy, like horror stuff, like does have some old god touch to it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you played Disco Elysium.
Oh, yeah.
Did you tell Joyce that Mr. Everard's helping you find your gun?
Um, is so I'm only on day 2. Is she the woman you interview, and like the people that are on strike are like, "Oh yeah, this guy raped her," and then you interview her, and then she's like, "Nope, I didn't get raped. I was doing drugs with this guy. We were partying, having a ton of sex." And she's like,
No,
"I
she's
think the
wonderful. That's Clausier.
oh, okay, okay, so it's not her." And then yeah,
Joyce
I remember
is the
meeting.
White Pines woman on the boat.
Oh, yeah, I took a job from her to try to track down drug smugglers that apparently were bringing drugs in a Terminal B, and so I go to this, like I go to this traffic jam, and I'm trying to track down who's smuggling drugs, and then you come across the character, and I'm pretty sure the character's name is just, like, racist lorry driver. I
That's
think
him.
that's
Welcome
only
to
his name.
Revision.
Yeah, and like somewhere along the line you pick up like this racist coffee mug, and you can like choose what you want to do with it. And just to see what would happen, um I like agreed with the racism on the coffee mug just to see if it would let me. And then the game like chastised me, and it was like, "Oh, you're that type of policeman, I see." And I was like, "Oh." And it won't let you take it back. It's just like, "Nope, you're racist. You can't take it back."
Yeah, Harry's not necessarily a good guy. It's so
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Yeah, the game chastises you the most for not choosing a wild mindset. Like if you like stay in the middle,
mhm,
it like the game is like calls you a pansy in so many words.
yep,
Like
yep.
it's so fun.
It's
You have to lean into the ugly.
you really do, yeah. And there's just so many, like, it doesn't play out like any game I've ever played before, and you're not ready for it. Like if you go in completely blind, you're like, "What in the world am I playing? Like this is insane," you
Something
know?
else, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a point and
That's the
click adventure. That's the thing, is they made such a
yeah.
beautiful game that's so fun and unique. And it's the simplest game format, but it's so elegant and so well done and
Yeah.
so well written and voiced. Like,
Yep.
uh,
Yeah, I wasn't ready for it at all because I just remember you recommended it and Justin recommended it. And it's not typical for either one of you to really recommend a game. I remember you guys were really pushing me to play um Ghost of Tsushima, and and that was like amazing.
mhm.
And you guys wanted me to play like the new Horizon Zero, which was really good too. Um, I think you guys were kind of encouraging me to play Bloodborne, but I bounced off that game within an hour. I was just like, "Oh my god, this is
Yeah, it's
ridiculous."
FromSoft isn't for everyone. Yeah.
Mm-mm. And then that was another game that you guys kept talking about, and it came out for free on the PlayStation subscription. So I was like, "Oh, let me try it. Like it's free. Let me just download it and see what happens." And like right off the bat, it's like you're
It's
I think
unsettling right off the bat.
yeah, like the reptilian part of your brain is like talking to you or something.
Yeah, the ancient reptilian brain, the limbic system.
Yeah, yeah. And I think Justin said that he tried to grab like his tie from the spinning fan and then died.
Oh yeah, no, that was me. The first thing I did in the real world was try to grab my tie, and then I died. And I was like, okay.
You're like, wait, what? Oh my gosh. The game's kind of brutal though, right? Depending on like the build that you pick.
Yeah, it's really brutal, but it's also like very low stress once you understand how the health and stuff like that works.
Yeah.
Because like you can always save, and As long as you have the medicine, like even if you have 1 point of health and you get damaged, you can still take medicine and not die. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's the
I
thing
don't.
too, is you can't tell somebody about that game in a way that like really conveys what the game is and is about without spoiling it. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where like you just gotta like ask people to trust you, because
Hmm.
if you start telling people about it, it either won't sound like fun,
Yeah.
or you'll give away too much and like
Yeah.
lose the kind of like shock value that the game
Yeah.
has in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. Because you
Oh
tell
yeah.
somebody it's a point and click adventure and it's super racist and communist and it's in this terrible city and it's all painted and nicely done, even though it's
Yeah.
a static fixed camera isometric view. Like already
Hmm.
people are like yawn, like I'm not playing that. Like
Yeah. It's so much better if when I started recommending it to people too, and I'm just like, you should play this game, and I just leave it at that. I don't
yeah,
even try to
it's
say
a great
anything
it's a
else
great little
about it.
story.
Yeah, it's just
Kinda.
like
It's a
yeah,
horrible
and
little
then
story.
yeah, and then they can kind of figure it out from there. Um,
Justin got it and was playing it, and I was playing something else next to him over a couple days, and I'd like stop and like watch, like not for long, but I'd like look over and I'd be like, at first I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what kind of game is this? And I was like, oh, it's like a
yeah.
point and click adventure, huh? And then I'd like look over and I'd read and I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, what is happening right now? And then like I heard the voice actor, because Justin was like, babe, you have to hear this. And I listened to it and I
Mhm.
was like, I'm buying this game right now. Like I'm playing it right
Yeah.
now. Like
Yeah.
so it was like 3 days of me just kind of observing it. And then I was like, time out, like I need to play this game.
Yeah. That's what happened with me is I played it for free and I just picked one of the pre-made builds and you come out of the room and you try to hit on that woman class yay
Classier, yeah.
classier and he said something like I want to make F with you or
I
something
want
like
to
that
yeah.
and I was just like
I love how quickly the game shows you he's like, this character you're playing, he's no good. He's great, but he's no good.
I know. And then she's like, "What did you say?" And then your guy, he's like, and then yeah, and then she's like,
I want
"Did you?"
to
Yeah.
you know.
And the voice actor just so crazy because she like hears you and she's like, "What did you say?"
Have you heard your character speak?
I don't think so. Not yet. I'm just on day two.
Yeah, there's a quest to sing karaoke. And it's the
Oh,
first time you
really?
like hear, yeah, and it's the first time you hear his voice. Um and then once you hear his voice and you realize that's what he sounds like, you almost have to play the game again. So you can like read your lines and then remember how you sound and be like,
Uh-huh.
wow, like what a dude. What an insane bastard.
Oh my gosh. I I'm going through it so slow because I don't I mean, I still don't really know what I'm doing. Like I'll just talk to somebody for like 30 minutes thinking it's super important and part of the storyline and it's like, nope, not at all. That doesn't do anything. And I
Yeah,
was like, "Oh,
that's how you play the game. You just go talk to everybody, make some
yeah.
decisions. And if you like are worried about the decisions you're gonna make, that's okay. You'll probably play the game again. Like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I've played
I
through like 2.5 times already.
oh wow.
Yeah, it, there's so many fucking hilarious dialogue lines. Seriously, like the next
Yeah.
time you jump on, go to Joyce and do some dialogue with her and try to tell her that Mr. Everart's helping you look for your gun.
Mhm.
Promise you won't be disappointed. It's fucking hilarious. It's so funny.
Mm. I remember talking to Everard or Everard the first time, and this was before I started cheating in the game. So I had like a build that had like one morale or maybe like two morale points.
Mhm.
And, you know, he's like, "Oh, what happened to your gun?" And then I just kept like saying like I lost it over and over. And I just kept taking like morale damage till I died. And I was like, what is this game? Like, this is insane. How do you even beat this?
It's not a
Like,
game you win. Even when you finish, you don't win the game. Like you just
yeah.
experience the story however you play it. Like
Oh, interesting. Huh. The the art style is also like nothing I've seen before because it's like totally painted.
yeah, everything in the game is painted and it's all so gorgeous and weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Um,
really want to try my hand at painting some of the like thumbnails for the attributes and skills.
yeah.
I want to try to do the visual calculus one first.
Mm. I think you'd be able to pull it off because you kind of have that style, or you can do that style.
Yeah, I want to give it a go.
That'd be awesome. Hmm.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know if I get Otzi. But yeah, it's so great. Kuno, I love Kuno
Mm.
so much. Talk to Kuno all fucking day. Such a vile, wonderful young man.
Oh man, yeah. When I that whole sequence where you find the body and it's just so ridiculous because it's like, do you want to steal the boots? They look valuable. And so then I start like pulling on the boots and like Kim's like, what are you doing? You're gonna
Uh,
behead this
and you're
man.
like, I want these boots.
Yeah. And then you can like keep pulling on the boots and like the game's like, are you really going to do that? Like you really want to pull on these boots right now? And I was like, never
Maybe
mind.
not.
And then did you shoot the body down?
I have one playthrough where I successfully shot the body down. Yeah.
You pull out your gun and Kim's just like, what are you doing? You're like, it's just so
Smoke
ridiculous.
a cigarette first so you can get your visual
Yep,
calculus up, or do drugs so that you can get your motorics up.
yep, yep.
The
And
game's so funny.
it's crazy. And one of the funniest scenes is when you find like the secret bullet like lodged in the spot or in the skull, and you're going in through the mouth and you're like digging through stuff and like pulling out the bullet. And Kuno's just like, oh yeah, this is amazing, Kappa. You're so disgusting and vile. Yeah, keep desecrating that corpse. Oh, you're going all the way.
they're so they're so vile. I love them so much. I love Kuno. I just listen to him speak horrible things all day long.
Oh man, yeah, he is. He some of the stuff that they say in that game, you're like, whoa, I haven't heard these words in a video game before. Like, good grief.
Yeah, it
Like,
goes in.
whoa, whoa. Like, are you allowed to say that in our time period? Like, good grief.
Oh, Disco Elysium's perfect. So good.
Yeah. I think that is a good place to end it on Kuno.
Yeah, that's how he'd want it to happen.
Yeah. But this was super fun.
Yeah.
I miss having people to talk about media with that I guess like view it the same way that I do. Like they love doing research and
Mhm.
just talking about all the little nuances. So yeah, that's a lot of fun for me. So hopefully we can do it again next week. Chrissy's in Dallas apparently all this week. So she was like, I can't do it. I'm in another state. I was like, I totally get you.
Oh yeah.
But
And if not, you should play more Disco Elysium. And then we can
Uh,
talk about Disco Elysium again next week.
oh yeah. If she's out again, we'll turn it into a Disco Elysium podcast. The first one.
Yeah, probably not.
All right, cool. See you, Thomas.
Bye, making choices.